I'm Mike, and this is a hype-free take on how to travel with batteries. So you're going on a trip. You're going to jump on a plane. You got to go through TSA. And quite frankly, you are terrified that they're going to take everything that you own that relates to quads and throw it in the trash. They will not. Here are a few things that you need to know when you're traveling and going through security with the TSA. First off, here is your standard LiPo. This is 1300 milliamp hours. You can see it's a little bit beat up, but it's in decent condition. Probably the first thing I would do with this LiPo is I would take black tape and cover up any broken skin. That's just to make sure that nobody raises any questions and has any things that might disqualify a battery. Secondly, go ahead and invest in a pair of battery caps. Every exposed terminal needs to be covered so that it cannot discharge. This may go for your balance connectors, and I've flown with and without covering these. One of my favorite tricks right now is I always carry a roll of electrical tape. Electrical tape is perfectly fine for covering up your any kind of connector. And so I will, if somebody raises a question, I go ahead and I cover that up with the electrical tape. The other thing that you're going to need is a LiPo bag. Preferably a LiPo bag that doesn't say dynamite on it, but that's all right. Your LiPo bag is basically there not to prevent explosions, but to limit oxygen. So if one of your LiPos does in fact set off on fire, it's going to control the fire. Another question that I get is, how many batteries can I take? And the answer is you can take as many as you want. The only limitation is that you may not carry a single battery that goes beyond 100 watt hours. Folks, the batteries that we use are tiny in comparison. 100 watt hours is enough to drive an electric wheelchair for hours and hours and hours, okay? So these tiny little 1300 and 1500 milliamp hour batteries do not even come close. The only restriction on that is that you may not carry any that are for sale. They must be for your personal use. So keep that in mind. There's one other big thing that you need to remember, which is that you cannot, in any circumstances, put your batteries in checked baggage. They have to be carried on. If you put these bad boys into checked baggage and they go through a pressure drop, they're going to catch on fire and you will not have a good day. So that brings us to, like, if you're going through security, what's the best thing to do? The best thing to do is the very first TSA agent you see, the one that's like replacing the bins and things like that, you say, hey, I've got a drone and a bunch of batteries. Can you help me make sure that these go through safely? Now, they're not going to be hurt by x-rays, but you're basically priming the pump. You're letting people know in advance and making them comfortable with it. Every TSA agent that I've been through, and I've flown many times with quads at this point, whenever I've been through TSA, that first TSA agent is like, oh, cool, is that a drone? And I show them, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a drone, it's FPV, it can go, 70, 80 miles an hour, blah, 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 blah. And people are really typically very interested. If you go through, there's about a 50-50 chance that they're going to pull you. So the other thing is that you need to get there early. And when they pull you, they're going to be checking you for things like, are your hands covered in explosive materials? Are you carrying anything else on? I've not been patted down. I've seen one unfortunate soul that seems to get patted down constantly. But what I can say is that they have pulled everything and inspected it. Now, so here's the deal. Go through security safe. Go through security with a smile. Don't be nervous, because really, you're allowed to carry these things on. And the final thing I would say is that, for your gate agent, if your gate agent has any issues, I would print out the rules for your airline specifically, because the airline rules actually vary slightly from the TSA rules. But all that said, you should be able to travel with a very large number of batteries. You should be able to travel with your drone. You should be able to travel with all of your equipment. And when you do, it should go pretty smoothly and pretty well. I'm Mike, taking off. You guys have a great day. Bye.